Oh, Lanta, I told you I was trying not to cry, and I knew it was gonna happen anyway. I just really wanted my channel to be a place for people that don't necessarily fit the mold of like aesthetic Christianity, or like I think there's a lot of Christian content out there that really washes this rose colored tint over a Christian lifestyle or like Christian community. And I feel like there are people out there that don't identify with that or often feel excluded from that. And so I just really wanted to like speak to those people, and hopefully help them to feel seen, help you to feel like understood and valued, because I think there's a lot of Christian communities out there that don't do that. And so that is a big reason why I'm making this video today. It's something that's been on my mind, my heart for a while now. I just had an experience at church and after church that really reminded me that we need to talk about this, that there needs to be more people speaking about this and addressing this and hopefully changing this. And so, I always want to be open and honest about my experience. And that is why I'm filming today, because I didn't want to film today. I've just been crying for a while. And so I'm sure I'm very puffy and my eyes are red. And I was like, I'm not going to film. I don't want to film. I feel like crap. I look like crap. But again, I don't know, this might speak to some of you watching, and if it can, and if it can give you like encouragement, that's awesome. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of an emotional one, but I really want to talk about it, and I think it's necessary. And so first things first, I just want to start off by saying to the individual that is sitting alone at church, I see you, I am you. I know your pain, I know it sucks. I know that walking alone with the Lord can often feel like incredibly isolating, and discouraging, very discouraging at times. But just know that God sees you and He loves you very, very much. Every time you show up, even when you feel like crap, He is so happy. And at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is loving God and loving other people. So if you can keep showing up for God, and if you can keep showing up for other people, even when you don't feel so hot, or even when you feel incredibly discouraged or alone, you're right on track, friend. You're doing what you need to do, even in the really difficult times. Oh, I'm trying not to cry. It's gonna be a difficult video, friends. It's gonna be a difficult one. I also don't think that it's any small coincidence that my verse of the day is Luke 6:21, which reads, "Blessed are you who hunger now, for you will be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh." I think there are a lot of Christian communities, Christian churches that paint walking with the Lord, or just even attending church as this really joyous and community-filled and heartwarming experience. And I think that is true for people, but I don't think that's true for everybody. And it really bothers me how that's completely ignored, like it's just completely washed over. I think whenever I hear pastors preach about this or individuals talk about this, whether it's, in Christian media or just in the services that I've been attending, they always talk about the fact that once you find a church, once you, get connected to a local church, you're going to find your community. You're not going to feel alone anymore. Because it's bad to be alone. You have to be in a community with others as like part of your Christian experience. And I don't disagree that we have to be in community with other Christians, but I do heavily disagree with the fact that connecting with a church is immediately going to solve loneliness or bring you a friend group or bring you close connections, because I am living proof that that is not true. I also know just other other girls, other individuals who have tried many churches and have also not gotten connected, have also not made a big group of friends or felt very supported. Sometimes even ostracized. And again, it's just something that I feel like people in the back of their minds or like deep in their hearts are aware of, but nobody wants to talk about it. It's kind of like this little taboo subject that we just all have to pretend doesn't exist because it clashes with the church's branding. And that does not sit right with me, friends. It does not sit right with me whatsoever. And so that's kind of a big reason, again, that I started making this kind of content is I want to be able to talk about the Christian walk, the Christian experience authentically. I have been to so many churches. I have tried so many different churches. I have tried different denominations of churches. I have been to different social groups, Bible studies, blah, 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 blah. You name it, I have tried it. Which first and foremost, if you're an introvert like me, you already know that is a massive effort. I mean, it feels like you're just stripping bare and throwing yourself out in public. Like it is very, very difficult to just show up to these spaces, and just kind of force yourself to be known, make your presence known, try to connect with people. Especially if you have social anxiety, like, good Lord, you know the struggle. When you are already in a very vulnerable or uncomfortable position to feel like discouraged or rejected or isolated in what is supposed to be a very welcoming, community-oriented space, it's like just heartbreaking, man. It is really, really difficult to do, and to keep pursuing and to keep showing up for, and to keep trying to find a community. A lot of the churches I've been to really encourage finding your group, connecting with your group. And when I have tried to do this, a lot of the times there just isn't a group for certain people. Again, people don't want to talk about this, but I want to talk about it. I am 28 years old. I'm going to be 29 in January. I'm single. Never been married. I don't have kids. I've only been in Florida a little bit over a year, so I'm still technically like a newbie. And to be honest, there's just not a lot of spaces or community for people like me. And listen, I know this is going to offend some people, so let's just dig into it. The church does not love single women. The church does not make space for single women, and oftentimes we are really intentionally ignored, and I hate it. I hate it. I think already just being the age I am and, you know, being unmarried, not dating anyone, for whatever reason, it just makes a lot of Christians uncomfortable. I think especially Christian women. Again, I'm not saying this is true for everybody. I'm saying this is my experience, and I know it's true for at least a few other people because I've talked to them about it. Where Christian women either view you as a threat or as competition. And again, I know people don't want to talk about it, but we got to talk about it, friends. You have these women who are in a very vulnerable, difficult period of life. You know, a lot of Christian women, if you've grown up Christian, get married very young. Everybody wants to hate on that. I don't have a problem with it. I used to make fun of it. I used to be the one that was like, that's so young, you know, how do you know at that age? And they don't get to experience the world and blah, 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 blah. Heck no. I think if you know, if God has ordained that, if God has put that person into your life and you're like, yes, I know, and you want to begin that journey with that person, go for it, man. I don't have anything against that. But what this creates is a lot of young women who get married very young, who have children very young. And so you have women who at 22 years old have already been married for a while, probably already have, you know, at least one kid. And so when women like myself come into the picture, there's just not a lot of shared life experience anymore, and it can almost feel like there's no reason for these kind of women to even interact with me. If anything, it might even be like, again, a threat for them to interact with other single women. It just sucks. It just sucks. It's just been an experience that I've noticed. Again, because like I've tried to make friends with married women. I've tried to make friends with women who have long-term partners, and a lot of the times I just am not getting that reciprocated. And yes, I'm very well aware that could also just be like a personality thing. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay, but I do find it not coincidental that it's oftentimes with women who are in long-term relationships. There's also the issue then of other single Christian women, especially if they're, a little later on in their life, like myself, late 20s, where, so many Christian women get married young, whereas now you are seen as competition in a very dwindling dating pool. And again, I want to be mad about it. Like, I want to be upset about it and be like, that's so silly and unfair. But to a degree, I understand it. It's like, we as Christian women in the dating pool know how difficult it is to find a man of God. Like, good Lord. I have been on a lot of dates. I've tried a lot of dating apps. I've met some great people, and I've met a lot of not so great people. And I think other genuine Christian women know this. It's difficult to find a man of God, especially one that is close to their age if they're later 20s and beyond. And so it can be hard to surround yourself with other single Christian women and put yourself into public environments or Christian environments where there are going to be single Christian men, especially the ones that you're interested in, and have that possibility of them being attracted to your friend. And again, I want to be mad about it. I want to be like, that's so unfair. But I can understand, like, genuinely, if I'm being honest, I can understand. And it does suck, but that's kind of the reality of the situation. So if you are a single Christian woman like myself, and you are, late 20s and beyond, you can understand the kind of isolation and exclusion that happens on a regular basis. Social events, Bible studies, even during church. And again, I have met some truly just lovely and kind-hearted and genuine people at the churches that I've been to, but I've also had so many negative experiences at churches. And luckily, I am what I would like to believe rooted in my faith, where I know that even a really negative church experience isn't going to make me turn away from God. It might make me turn away from that church, but it's not going to turn me away from my faith. And I think as Christians, we have to be aware of the fact that that's not true for everyone, especially for people that are really going through a hard time and are showing up to church alone and are looking for connection and are looking for guidance and love and community. If we aren't greeting them with open arms and are making an effort to speak to the newbies, or the girl that's sitting alone, or the guy that comes in the back and is nervous to speak to people, if we are just letting them, cruise under the radar, or are ignoring them, or intentionally excluding them, or like pretending we don't see them when it's time to shake their hand, you are acting in such an ungodly, unloving way, and it breaks my heart, because you are turning people away from Christ. I don't care if they're new. I don't care if you've been going to the church for 50 years and you know everybody's name and you sit in the exact same pew, exact same seat every single Sunday, okay? It doesn't matter. You are called to love everybody. I don't care if they look, scary or weird or whatever. Like, go be nice to them, especially if they are showing any kind of effort to like connect or find a group. They may be awkward. Who freaking cares? Jesus calls you to love everybody, especially the people that are hurting and are broken. It is quite literally our only job as Christians to love God and to love others. So if you are completely ignoring the second half of that command, you are doing a massive disservice to yourself and to others. I'm so incredibly sick of churches that are more focused on the color palette and their style guide than they are at making sure people feel loved and connected and are growing in their walk with God. I have an entire drawer full of t-shirts at the churches that I've gone to, or tried to make my home church. But you know what I don't have is a loving, supportive community of other Christians that go to that church. And to me, that speaks volumes. It literally is just such a sad reality that, again, so many people don't want to talk about, because again, it interferes with the aesthetic, right? I have been to so many churches where their Instagram and Facebook is full of happy smiling faces and beautifully curated content, and the graphic design is so nice, and there's photos of people lifting up their hands in church, and the messages from the pastor are awesome. But there are people in these communities that are hurting and are ignored and excluded because they don't fit the brand, they don't fit the aesthetic, and it's easier to kind of brush them aside, or to just be like, yeah, go find your group. Go find your group. It's easier to do that than it is to sit down and have an honest conversation about things that need to change, or things that are going wrong. Or like, hey, maybe we could talk to some of the members that have been here for the last decade and tell them to be a little nicer, a little more friendly with newcomers. It is absolutely bizarre to me how I'll go to a new church, I'll sit down, not a single person will say hi to me, not a single person will sit next to me. Not a single person will ask if I'm new. And again, I'm not expecting like a flock of individuals to come running over. That's absolutely ridiculous. But I am expecting that if you are a member of a church and you see somebody new, if you see someone that's kind of like looking around or feeling a little bit awkward, or they're alone, I sure as heck expect at least one person that is sitting close by to be like, hey, or good morning, or hey, are you new here? Or just something, man. Like, it's crazy. Like, I just think about how Jesus was this obviously perfect, but just beautiful example of unconditional love, and like making the unmentionables feel included and welcome. And why is it that when I go into so many churches, I feel the exact opposite of that? And again, I am grateful that I have the foundation of faith where I'm like, nope, this sucks, and I feel isolated and lonely and unwanted, but I'm still gonna follow the Lord. I'm lucky that I have that. I'm grateful that I have that. But that's not the case for everybody. So please, I'm like begging any person that goes to church, if you're watching this, like, go say hi to the person sitting alone. And they might not be super friendly. They might feel awkward or shy. It doesn't matter. Just even saying hi. Oh, Lanta, I told you I was trying not to cry, and I knew it was gonna happen anyway. No one should ever leave a church feeling worse than before they came in. So please ask yourself, if you are someone that attends church, what can I do next Sunday that might completely change someone else's experience in their walk with the Lord? If you see someone new, smile at them, make eye contact with them, shake their hand. If you're feeling bold and if you're a little bit more extroverted, invite them to coffee. Be like, hey, I haven't seen you around here before. Are you new? Would love to grab coffee. Would love to have you join me at Bible study. You never know what that might do for someone, especially if they don't yet have saving faith. Imagine what might happen if they see the completely like unfiltered, unconditional love of Christ through someone else at church. The reality is that there's a lot of Christians out there. There's a lot of people that need Jesus out there that may not look like you, or talk like you, or act like you, or have the same kind of friend group as you. And we need to show them the unconditional love of Christ just as much, maybe even more, as the people that we feel comfortable with or identify with. That is what it means to love God and to love others. The whole point of this video was to acknowledge and hopefully comfort those that are in a church community or Christian community and still feel isolated and alone. You're not doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you've failed or you aren't trying hard enough. Sometimes it's just the community that we're in that unfortunately we have to recognize is not the right fit or not the best place for us. Not every church is representing the love of Christ, and this is something that I have had to identify and acknowledge, although a very tough pill to swallow. Just because the Instagram is super cute and they've got a lot of good video content does not mean that it's the right community for you. I also wanted to make this video to essentially call out the church and say that we need to do better. We really, really need to do better because this has not been my experience at just one church. This has been my experience at a lot of churches, all different denominations. It also is it's not just my experience, it's the experience of other individuals that I've talked to, and it shouldn't be that way. We gotta do better. I know this video is not my typical lighthearted comedic content, which I love making. I love it so much. I love making people laugh. I love making people stay better if I can, but it's something that has just been a reoccurring issue that I've seen, and I just hope that even one person watching this can make the effort to make someone feel the love of God the next time they go to church. And again, this is something that I need to constantly remind myself of. I am by no means sitting on my high horse in this situation. I always need to make sure that I'm looking for those that feel isolated or alone or rejected in a traditional Christian setting, because those are the people that we really need to express the love of God to. Again, I'll just reiterate it because it's something that I also constantly need to remind myself of. The only thing that matters in this lifetime, this time on earth, is loving God and loving others. That's it. That's literally it. If you are feeling a little bit blue today, if you are feeling a little bit down in the dumps, something that always makes me feel at least a little bit better is listening to some worship music, going to get a coffee, and then taking a little walk. And yes, I'm aware it sounds cheesy and it sounds stupid, but I don't care because it does help. Again, the only thing that matters, loving God, loving others. So if you can put on a little worship music, praise our Creator, and have a little caffeine boost in the sun, I can guarantee you that it'll make things a little teensy bit better. I love you guys so much. Just remember, if you are going to church alone, if you are sitting alone, God is always with you. He really is. And I know it sounds so cheesy, but just keep going. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's awkward, but God sees you. I see you. You might get some weird looks. You might get people that look at you like you're a leper, and that's okay, because that's their problem, okay? And they're not representing the love of God. What you're doing is awesome. It's courageous, especially if you're an introvert, okay? I know that takes a lot of guts, but just keep doing it. The payoff, if you will, or the value is so important, and it's so important that we worship and express our love for our Creator even when we don't feel like it or it's awkward. I hope y'all have an excellent rest of your week. Thank you so much for watching. I love y'all so much, and I will see you soon.